The fire alarm screamed as Derek's backpack exploded in a shower of sparks and smoke, sending him diving under his desk while 17 teenagers scrambled for the exits. Riley sat completely still at her desk in the back corner, watching the small metallic device she'd just pulled from her pocket hover over the burning backpack, spraying some kind of foam that definitely wasn't from Earth. "Everybody out!" Miss Patricia shrieked, waving her arms frantically, her glasses sliding down her nose as smoke billowed toward the ceiling tiles. Riley calmly walked past the chaos, pocketing the device as Derek crawled out from under his desk, his Letterman jacket covered in white foam. The classroom door slammed behind the last student as the device in Riley's hand chirped once, then dissolved into silver dust. 3 hours later, she sat in the principal's office, watching Principal Morrison pace back and forth, his tie loosened, sweat beading on his forehead. "Riley, that's the 3rd incident this month," he said, stopping to lean on his desk, both hands flat on the wood surface. "Derek says you did something to his bag. The security footage glitched at exactly the right moment." "Again?" Riley shrugged, her fingers drumming on the armrest of the plastic chair. "His vape pen probably exploded. Happens all the time. His bag was full of expensive electronics for his science project." The office lights flickered, shifted to emergency red, and died completely. Morrison froze mid-sentence as his computer screen went black, then displayed a symbol that looked like 3 overlapping spirals in brilliant blue. "Oh, hell," Riley muttered, standing up. The window behind Morrison's desk shattered inward, and Vexthor, the insectoid enforcer, with his bronze chitinous armor gleaming and all 4 arms spread wide, landed in a crouch on the desk, his compound eyes reflecting the red emergency lights, mandibles clicking rapidly. "Human designation, Riley Park," Vexthor announced, his voice reverberating through translators embedded in his thorax. "You are summoned before the Galactic Council for crimes against—" He paused, tilting his segmented head. "Wait, you're in school?" Morrison fainted, crashing backward into his filing cabinet with a metallic bang. Riley grabbed her backpack from the floor, swinging it over one shoulder. "Can this wait until after 6th period? I have a geometry test. The Council demands your presence." Vexthor's antennae twitched with each word, his smaller secondary arms gesturing emphatically, while his primary arms remained spread in what looked like an attempt at intimidation. "Yeah, well, the Council can get in line behind my attendance record." Riley walked toward the door, stepping around Morrison's unconscious body. Vexthor scuttled across the desk with surprising speed for something with 6 legs, blocking her path, his bronze exoskeleton scraping against the wood. "You destroyed the Krell battle fleet. They were harvesting colony ships. Somebody had to—" Riley stopped, her eyes narrowing. "How do you know that was me?" "I was very careful." The insectoid's mandibles clicked, in what might have been alien laughter. "You left a signature, a human energy signature, in the middle of a debris field containing 300 Krell warships, all of which had been systematically disabled by someone who knew exactly where to hit their shield generators." "Circumstantial evidence," Riley said, crossing her arms. "You're 16!" Vexthor's compound eyes seemed to focus all at once, creating an unsettling multi-layered stare. 17 next month. What's your point?" The emergency lights flickered again, and this time, when they came back on, the entire office had been replaced by a transport beam. Riley felt the familiar tug of molecular reorganization as the school dissolved around them, replaced by the dark metallic corridors of a Galactic Council enforcement vessel, emergency red lighting casting long shadows down the tunnel-like passages, industrial pipes humming overhead. Vexthor stood beside her, all four arms now folded across his chitinous chest. "The Council is not pleased." "The Council is never pleased," Riley replied, walking forward down the corridor without waiting for direction. "Which chamber am I in? The formal one with the uncomfortable chairs, or the one where Zin tries to be diplomatic?" "The formal one, with all 12 species represented." Vexthor scuttled alongside her, his bronze armor reflecting the red lights with each movement. "And Commander Krell himself." Riley stopped walking so abruptly that Vexthor bumped into her, his mandibles clicking in surprise. Oh, that's bad." "Yes." "Like, they're actually going to try to execute me." "Bad." "They have voted on it, 6-6. Zin abstained because she finds you fascinating." The corridor ended at massive double doors that irised open with a hiss, revealing the council chamber beyond. The circular room stretched 3 stories high, bathed in blue-purple holographic light that made everything look like an alien nightmare. 12 elevated podiums arranged in a circle surrounded a central platform, where a single spotlight illuminated a metal chair bolted to the floor. Riley walked to the chair and sat down, dropping her backpack beside it with a thud. Krell, the massive reptilian battle commander, with purple-blue scales covering his 8-foot frame, and 3 vertical eyes arranged in a triangle on his elongated skull, stood at the highest podium. His clawed hands gripped the railing as he leaned forward, scales shifting color from blue to angry crimson. "Human!" he roared, his voice echoing off the metallic walls. "You have committed acts of war against the Krell Empire." "I stopped you from harvesting civilians," Riley said, leaning back in the chair, her fingers tapping on the armrest. "That's not a war crime. That's pest control." All 3 of Krell's eyes widened, pupils dilating as his scales rippled, with changing colors. Several smaller aliens on nearby podiums made gasping sounds, chirps, clicks, and one low whistling noise that sounded like a deflating balloon. Zin, the translucent jellyfish-like diplomat with her glowing internal organs pulsing with bioluminescent light, floated forward from her podium, her tentacles writhing gently as she descended toward the central platform. "Riley, please. You're not helping your case." "I didn't know I had a case. Last time I was here, you gave me a medal." Riley pulled a small, crystalline object from her pocket, holding it up to catch the blue-purple light. "Still have it. Nice gift shop, by the way." Krell's scales flushed completely crimson, spreading from his head down his massive torso. "That medal was for diplomatic services. You negotiated the Treaty of Thorax Minor." "Yeah, and 3 months later you tried to harvest a human colony. I took that personally." Riley stood up, leaving the backpack by the chair. "So I disabled your fleet. No casualties. All ships intact. Just immobilized for a few weeks while the colonies evacuated. You hacked military-grade Krell systems." Krell's clawed hand slammed down on his podium, cracking the metal surface. "Systems that are supposed to be unhackable." "Nothing's unhackable if you understand the underlying architecture." Riley shrugged, walking in a slow circle around the platform, her sneakers squeaking on the polished metal floor. "Your shield generators use a recursive algorithm based on prime number sequences. I just convinced them that 1 was a prime number. Whole system went into an error loop trying to resolve the paradox." The chamber erupted in chaos. Multiple aliens began shouting, or whatever their species' equivalent of shouting was. One being that looked like a floating cluster of geometric shapes started spinning so fast it created a small vortex. Zin's bioluminescence pulsed rapidly through red, orange, and back to blue. Ambassador Kell, The small crystalline alien whose faceted surface reflected and refracted the chaotic lights into rainbow patterns, chimed loudly from his podium, a sound like crystal bells being struck in rapid succession. The chamber fell silent. "The human girl," Kell chimed, his crystalline body resonating with each word, "has violated 17 galactic treaties, but she has also saved 43 colonies across 9 systems. We cannot execute her without acknowledging that our own forces failed to protect those we are sworn to defend." Krell's 3 eyes narrowed, focusing on Riley with predatory intensity. "She is a child, a human child who has somehow accessed technology that should be impossible for her species to understand. She is either the greatest prodigy in galactic history or the greatest threat." "Can't I be both?" Riley asked. Vexthor, still standing near the entrance with all 4 arms crossed, clicked his mandibles in what might have been amusement. "She has a point." "Silence!" Krell's roar made the ID holographic displays flicker and dim for a moment. Zin floated closer to Riley, her translucent body glowing softly with gentle blue light, tentacles extending in a gesture that seemed almost protective. "Riley, how did you learn our systems? We've been monitoring Earth. Your species has barely achieved faster-than-light capability. You shouldn't be able to—" "I'm good at patterns," Riley interrupted, meeting Zin's gaze through her translucent form, where several glowing organs pulsed in what looked like surprise. "Your tech, our tech, ancient precursor tech, it's all just patterns and logic. Once you see the pattern, the rest is just implementation." "Just implementation," Krell repeated, his scales shifting to a purple so dark it was almost black. "She speaks of centuries of engineering advancement, as if it were a homework assignment." "Speaking of homework," Riley checked her watch, a simple digital display that looked painfully primitive compared to the floating holographic chronometers throughout the chamber. "I really do have that geometry test, and if I fail, my mom's going to kill me, which seems redundant given present circumstances." The small geometric cluster alien spun again, this time projecting symbols into the air that even the translation matrix struggled with. Finally, words appeared on the holographic displays. "Unprecedented human neural architecture detected. Pattern recognition capacity exceeds standard deviation by factor of 89. Riley blinked. "Did you just scan my brain without asking?" "Yes," the symbols flashed. "Apologies, but data is extraordinary." Krell leaned forward even further, his massive frame casting a shadow across the platform despite the overhead lighting. "Explain." The geometric alien spun faster, more symbols appearing. "Human brain processes information in ways we cannot replicate, sees connections instantaneously that require our most advanced AI centuries to calculate. She is anomaly." "I prefer gifted," Riley said dryly. Vexthor clicked his mandibles again, louder this time, and walked toward the platform, his bronze armor glinting as he entered the spotlight beside Riley. "I have a proposal. The human is dangerous, but she is also invaluable. We execute her. We lose the only being in the galaxy who can apparently hack Krell military systems while sitting in algebra class." "It was history class, actually," Riley corrected. "We were learning about the French Revolution. Seemed thematically appropriate." Zin's bioluminescence pulsed with what might have been suppressed laughter. "What is Vexthor proposing?" The insectoid enforcer raised one primary arm, pointing at Riley with a clawed finger. "Conscription. She works for the Council, officially, under supervision. We use her abilities for protection, not punishment." "I'm 17, Riley said. "Pretty sure there are child labor laws." Not in galactic law, Vexthor countered, his compound eyes reflecting her image hundreds of times. You're an adult, by 57 different species standards. Krell's scales slowly shifted back toward purple-blue, though anger still flickered through in crimson streaks. And if she refuses? Then we have a problem, Vexthor admitted. Because we can't actually hold her. The human disabled 300 warships. Our prison systems use the same basic architecture. Riley grinned. He's not wrong. This is blackmail, Krell growled, claws digging into his already damaged podium, creating deep gouges in the metal. This is pragmatism, Zin corrected, floating in a slow circle around both Vexthor and Riley, her tentacles trailing behind her translucent body like ribbons in water. The girl is powerful. We make her our ally, or we make her our enemy. I know which I prefer. Ambassador Kell chimed again, his crystalline facets catching and throwing light in sharp beams across the chamber. Vote, alliance or execution. Those in favor of alliance? 7 podiums lit up with green holographic markers. Zin's showed green, Vexthor's showed green, even the geometric cluster alien showed green. Krell's podium remained dark for a long moment. His 3 eyes closed, then opened slowly, all focusing on Riley with an intensity that made even her take a small step backward. Then his podium flashed green. Majority achieved, Kell chimed. The human Riley Park is hereby conscripted into Galactic Council service as special consultant for pattern analysis and technological assessment. Effective immediately. Riley raised her hand. Do I get paid? Yes, Zin said, her bioluminescence pulsing with something that looked like amusement. Do I still have to go to school? Yes, Krell growled. Your education is statistically important for long-term development. Do I get cool alien tech? Absolutely not, Vexthor and Krell said simultaneously, their voices overlapping in perfect timing. Riley considered this, tapping her chin with one finger. Counteroffer. I get access to the Xenotech library, limited field authorization, and you stop harvesting colonies. Any colonies. I don't care whose. You want my pattern recognition skills? That's the price. The chamber went completely silent. Even the humming of the ship's systems seemed to fade as every alien representative stared at the teenage human girl standing in the spotlight, making demands of the most powerful governing body in the galaxy. Krell's laugh started as a low rumble that built into a sound like boulders grinding together. Unbelievable. She's negotiating. With the entire council. Is that a yes or a no? Riley asked. Zin floated down until she was level with Riley, her glowing organs pulsing softly. You care about the colonies, not about wealth or power. You care about people you've never met. Someone has to, Riley said quietly. Agreed, Kell chimed, his crystal form resonating with finality. All terms accepted. Riley Park is now special consultant with the stated restrictions on colonial harvesting across all council species. Vexthor made a sound like air escaping through his breathing spiracles. The council just got outmaneuvered by a 17-year-old human. 16, Riley corrected. 17 next month. I told you already. Krell's scales rippled with colors Riley couldn't identify, settling on something between purple and silver. What happens when you take the geometry test, human? Riley picked up her backpack, slinging it over her shoulder with a motion so casual it seemed to mock the gravitas of the entire proceeding. I ace it, obviously. Geometry is just patterns. Everything's just patterns. The transport beam activated, blue light enveloping her. Wait, Zin started. Council adjourned, Riley called out cheerfully as she dematerialized. Email me the contract details. I have sixth period in 8 minutes. The last thing the council saw before she vanished was her waving with one hand, grinning like she'd just won an argument with a teacher instead of negotiating her survival with 12 alien species. Vexthor looked at Krell. Krell looked at Zinn. Zinn's bioluminescence pulsed through every color in rapid succession. "We just hired a teenager," the geometric alien's symbols flashed, "who scares the Krell battle commander." Krell's 3 eyes narrowed. "She doesn't scare me." Every podium in the chamber displayed a flashing symbol that the translation matrix interpreted as liar. Back in the principal's office, Riley materialized exactly where she'd been standing before. Morrison was still unconscious on the floor, his tie askew, one shoe somehow missing. The window was still intact. The council had thoughtfully rewound local time by 3 hours. Riley checked her watch. 2 minutes until sixth period. She stepped over Morrison, grabbed her geometry textbook from his desk, and walked out into the hallway where Derek stood by his locker, completely unaware his backpack had exploded in an alternate timeline. "Hey, loser," Derek called out, smirking as he slammed his locker shut. "Still a freak?" Riley smiled, the same smile she'd given the Galactic Council. "You have no idea." Her phone buzzed. A message in a language that shouldn't exist on Earth appeared on the screen, then auto-translated, "Welcome to the Council Consultant Park. First assignment attached. Please don't hack our systems. Vexthor." She opened the attachment. The target, an illegal weapons trafficking ring operating out of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Due date: next Tuesday. Riley laughed once, closed her phone, and headed to geometry class. Some patterns, she thought, were just too easy.